Oh, no, my electrician's just taking a break. I'm not, anyway, so a lot of you guys probably want to know how a meter base works, right? Now, this is how it works. You got power that comes in. It's not run yet, but it will be. And see over here, there's a power line and there's a transformer. So see the telephone pole, and then at the top of that, there's a transformer. From there, they're gonna run gray conduit and then come underground, 2-inch, 80, whatever, schedule 80, and then come up in here, bing, and they're gonna hook it up. They're gonna go hot power, neutral power, okay? That neutral bar touches this one, which is white, so that's our neutral. And then this hot goes to this hot, and this hot goes to this hot. When we put the meter on, then it has to go through the meter, tick, 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 count your stuff to your house, okay? So that's how that works. Now, let's put this back on. It's gonna start looking more familiar to you guys. You'll be like, oh, John knows some stuff about some stuff. I hope. If I can get a stupid thing in here. Yeah, so that's that. We're gonna put that on later. That's where your meter would go, right? Right there. Now, let's come inside and see what it looks like on the inside. All right, so coming in from this side, I don't know if you can see well enough, but you got your neutral. Your neutral comes up through here. It's labeled white, and it goes to a neutral bar. This is where all your whites get plugged into. But this is where your ground comes in. This goes to 2 different ground rods that are slammed into the ground 10 feet. We just did that, that's why I'm out of breath. And we clamp those on with acorn nuts, and then slam it, well, first we slam it in the ground, then we clamp them. So that's actually physically grounded. Then your white comes out to the white, that's your neutral. But as you can tell, the neutral and the ground bar are connected. So technically you should put all your grounds on one side and all your whites, your neutrals on the other side. But really, you can put them anywhere. It just doesn't look as neat. So usually I just put them all on the same side so it doesn't look like I'm dumb. Anyway, you have one hot that comes here and one hot that comes here. That goes through a main breaker, right? The util's off right now, and that doesn't have power anyway, and that's why I can touch this stuff. But it's gonna go through there, breaker it, so that now you get power here and here. So you get 110 that goes here, and it's every other one, like jack-o'-lantern teeth, right? And then on the other side, it's the other side of it. See, bink, bink, bink. So that when you do a 220, it hits one of the 110s and one of the other 110s to make 220. And that is how that works, right? So I'll just show you what a breaker would look like. If you got a big fat one, like this is a 50 amp, so we'll probably use this for the stove. And so you can tell there's a slot right there, and that slot goes onto this slot, and that one goes on that slot. So if you put it in place, it's gonna catch this one and this one. That's gonna be on this 110, and that's gonna be on that 110, right? So then you get 220 total. So what you would do to do that breaker, of course it wants to be difficult, is first you would put in your neutral, or sorry, your ground, then you put in your neutral. For 220, you have 2 hots, you put those in, put it in place. Once it's in place and everything's tested, then you turn it on. And then that allows power to come through here, through this, these screws, to the wire, and then, in this case, to the stove. So we'll turn that back off because it's a good habit. We need to take it out, we'll take it out like that. So it just kind of snaps in place. So hopefully you guys learned some stuff about power. Oh, there you guys are. So we did some wiring today with our electrician again, and we wired up a lot of circuits. We still have about 3 more circuits to do, but we got to go buy some cabinets. So that's exciting. Now, I showed you how to do the big wires, but let me just show you how to do the, like a circuit, right? So this is for air conditioner unit that goes upstairs. So the wire comes in, we strip it back, and we go to the ground bar, then we go to the neutral bar, and then we have a hot and another hot that goes to this 220, and it's a 60 amp circuit. And then we keep doing that for all these 220s. And then down here, these just have a single. So you got your ground and your neutral, and then the hot goes to here, and then that goes on to the circuit, and it comes out like a yellow wire or whatever, and then carries on. Now we got a lot of dedicated ones that go just to the fridge, just to the microwave, and so on. But some of them have multiple outlets and switches and things. Very exciting. Now, the other day, I was at the secondhand store, and I saw a man with only one arm, and I was just like, you're not gonna find what you're looking for here, buddy. And it made me kind of sad. Like, you poor guy, you're here at the secondhand store, and you know, like,
false advertisement.
I just feel like somebody ought to let him know before he walks in, like, I'm sorry, they don't have prosthetics here. So maybe if you own a secondhand store, consider naming it something else for obvious reasons, because, you know, sensitivity and all that. Otherwise, he's going to have to find a safe place and go cry. Now, a lot of times people have talked to me over the years, and I've thought about it a lot myself. When the time comes, which is probably, we're closing in on it, that we will be asked, like, you're a Christian? And you're like, yeah. You can say you're not a Christian and you can live, or you can say you are a Christian and we're going to kill you. And that time's coming, right? And so a lot of people are like, I wonder if I'm going to have the strength to be a martyr when the time comes. And my answer to you is this. Do you have the strength to stand up now? Do you make a habit of standing up now? Then probably when the time comes, you'll already be in the habit. It will be effortless. It will just be another day for you. And when the time comes, you're just like, of course I won't. You're not going to get me to give up. But if you're in the habit of like, the littlest thing, I don't want to be embarrassed or offend somebody, or maybe I'll send them off to, scare them away from God. I'm like, you're going to scare them to hell number 2 or hell number 3, because that's where they're headed anyway. Say what you got to say. Because if you're used to that, then when the time comes, you're probably going to be a coward. And that's not a great thing. So why is this important? I'm going to tell you a reference from Ezekiel chapter 33. And probably a lot of you don't read the Bible, so you don't know this, but Ezekiel was a prophet. And one of the things he said was God came to him and he said, I have made you a watchman, which means that you sit on top of the wall. Okay, if there's a wall around the city that protects the city, and you have a watchman and he watches, that's his job. He's not doing construction. He's not an influencer. Fields, right, they're not plowing fields, none of that stuff. His job is you watch. And if you see the enemy coming, you sound the alarm, blow the trumpet, ring the bell, whatever you got to do so that the people know the enemy's coming. He said, that's what I've made you, spiritually. But if you are the watchman and you see the enemy coming and you don't blow the trumpet, you don't ring the bell, you don't tell anybody, they will die, but their blood will be on your head because you did not tell them and you knew. You knew the enemy was coming and you didn't tell them. That's a heavy burden to bear, right? If I knew that you were going to the North Pole and I saw you wearing flip-flops and like a tank top and a swimsuit.
My normal attire.
Right, my everyday attire. And I didn't at least say, have you thought about packing a jacket? That would kind of be on me a little bit, right? Because like, hey man, the North Pole is notorious for its cold weather. And I noticed that you're wearing flip-flops. And I feel like you're probably going to want some Arctic gear, but at least like a jacket, right?
At least some waterproof.
Yeah, something that's like going to block the wind a bit. So
take you cardboard or something.
Something, right? Some newspaper to cover up with. Anyway, he says, but if you see the enemy coming and you do blow the trumpet, you ring the bell, you tell the people, and they decide, nah, we're not going to lock the gate. We're not going to make preparations. We don't care.
Enemy, schmenemy.
Yeah. They will die, but their blood will be on their own head.
Word.
And so it is a big responsibility for us, right? We look and we go, I see people that are on their way to hell. I see people that are on their way to destruction. And I could be like, la-di-da, I don't want to offend anybody. Or I could be like, hey, there's an answer to this. Get it right. Look, this isn't hard. We're not trying to take your money. We're just telling you, look, Jesus paid the price for you. You can go to heaven. Do it while you still have time. So if you're wondering, do I have the strength to be a martyr? Well, do you have the strength to share the gospel right now? That's a good way to start. All right, we're going to go and pick out some cabinets because you have to plan for the future. And today we're like, all we need to do is wiring. But in a couple weeks, we're going to be like, we really need to put some cabinets in. And I'm going to be glad that I took the time today to order the cabinets so that they're ready for us. So love you guys. Oh, hey there. So I'm out here working by myself today. And I'm doing some, me and my electrician are out here working. And I realized I hadn't showed you guys this staircase during the daytime. Isn't that great? Mike Femster did such a good job on that. And I just think it's going to be so cool. Obviously, these are not the finished steps. These are like temporary steps, and then we're going to put better ones on top of it. Now, sometimes people are like, John, how is it that you continue to just
work nonstop, like what is your motivation? What gets you up in the morning, right? And that's a good question. I mean, half of it is I realize that nobody loves me, and so it kind of distracts me from the pain of that. But the other half is that I know that at the end of the job, it's worth it, right? It's worth making somebody's house beautiful. And of course, I'm going to make some money, but the pain that I endure and the drudgery of it or whatever is worth it to me because of the joy set before me, because I know that for the rest of their lives, they'll get to enjoy this home, or somebody will. And, obviously I'll take the money and buy things or whatever. That's not really my big motivation. Anyway, so that got me to thinking, like, are there other things in life that are worth going through pain so that later on it's worth what you suffered for? Women give birth to kids, and that's painful. But then later on, they're like, I love my kids, and I would do it again. I would go through that pain for them because they're worth it. And there's a lot of things, that we suffer through because it's worth it at the end. And I think the biggest thing that I could possibly think of is salvation, right? Is our salvation. That are there times in life where you're like, man, I want to give up? Yeah, of course. Of course there's times in life like that. Are there times where you're like, this is too much, I can't take it? Yeah. But then you keep taking it. You keep enduring because it is worth the joy set before you. When Jesus suffered on the cross, he said he endured the suffering of the cross for the joy set before him, because he knew that, and it's humbling to say this, that we were worth the price that he paid for us. We should deserve that. We don't, but we should want to deserve that. It's not that we're earning our way to heaven. It's just gratitude to just go, you did that for me. What can I do for you? Right? But he paid that price. We also, pay a price, because one day what we give up is so pale in comparison to what we get. There are times where lotteries get huge, right? Like, oh, it's $11 billion for the lottery. And you're like, would you risk $1 to win the lottery? And a lot of people are like, I would risk thousands of dollars to win the lottery. And I'm like, but you probably won't, because let's be honest, the lottery is a tax on the poor. The poor are not paying taxes. They're getting tax money back, but the government's got their hand in the lottery. And so that's a tax on the poor. You're probably not going to win. However, if you knew for a fact that you were going to win the lottery, would it be worth any price? Would it be worth everything that you've got to win the lottery? If you're like, I sold my house, I sold my car, I sold all my belongings, all my guitars, my clothes, my shoes, my computers, phone, you name it, everything I had, I gave every last bit, and here it is, and then I won $11 billion. Was that worth it, or would you be like, I don't know, I think I'll stick with minimum wage or whatever it is that you make? The answer is, of course, everything that you give, if you give it, is like you gave away nothing to get everything. And to me, that's what salvation is. There's a story in the Bible about the pearl of great price, okay? And it says, a man went into a field and he found a pearl of great price. Priceless, huge. And immediately he went and sold everything that he had to be able to buy that land so that he could also buy that pearl. Because he knew, even though it's going to cost me everything I have, it's worth it. And so I hope that you realize that even if your salvation cost you everything that you have, you got off cheap. That's a true story. Hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Love you, made it. Bye.
Oh, you guys want to see something controversial? Good. So we're driving along this morning, and then all of a sudden we hear a bump, and then my truck starts smoking like crazy, and my check engine light comes on, my thermostat light comes on. So we're stranded, but that's not the point. So I heard about somebody that was stranded in the middle of a war, and then a stray bullet came and shot them. So rather than getting my radiator fixed, which is what I should be doing, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get Amazon Prime to deliver me a bulletproof vest. What do you think, Jimmy?
That's genius.
Is it?
No.
Well, I mean, okay, check it though. Also, I heard that same person, like, then their vehicle exploded. And so then they burned up. Even though the bullet wound probably would have killed them, then they caught fire too. So I'm thinking, I wonder if they got like a bulletproof vest that's also fire retardant, like filled with asbestos.
That's retarded.
I mean,
Totally retarded.
No, but think about it. Like, I know the asbestos will cause cancer, but isn't that better than if I burned to death?
What could help you in all cases is just to get a radiator.
You know, I feel like you're focusing on the wrong thing here, Jimmy. I feel like what we need to focus on is like, what if a meteor happens to land right here? What are we going to do to protect ourselves from that, Jimmy?
We can't run, can we?
Well, we could. We should start running just in case, so that if a meteor does come, we'll be prepared.
Makes totally... No, it doesn't make any sense.
No, but seriously, okay, all right, let's think about some other things that could happen. All right, so what if somebody came by here, like this trucker over here, and what if he has a cold or something? Hold on a second.
Better mask up.
God, hold on. Yeah.
You don't want to catch what he's got.
This is dirty. This stinks. God, how long has this been in my truck? I never use these things.
Oh, I found that one off the job.
Is this off the ground?
Yeah.
I still feel like it's better than having to breathe that trucker's COVID or whatever he's got.
That's right.
Dear Lord. Oh, I can't do that. How do you... I feel like I got a disease just putting that near my face.
Tastes like sad.
Yeah, tastes like compromise. Tastes like... What does that smell? Oh, it's fear.
Prostate and fear, that's what that is.
It has a lot of prostate, but also a lot of fear. Yeah, I feel like, you know what would be dumber than me doing these things that I'm talking about?
What is that?
The government demanding that I do these things and then telling me that if I didn't, that I hate old people and I just need to get the bulletproof flak jacket that's asbestos while I run around with a mask on my face because...
As fast as you can away from the meteor.
Yeah, from the meteor that's not going to strike because we have an atmosphere that burns them up on the way in.
Today, but what about tomorrow's atmosphere?
Yeah. Dun, dun, dun.
Global warming.
Yeah, so this video is going to be about 40 minutes long because we're just waiting. I'm kidding. I think you guys get the point. And the point is, like, why in the world would I waste a bunch of time and energy doing something that is completely stupid that probably will not happen? And I think you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, it's the and the look, it's been 2 years. It's been 2 full years, okay? You have been exposed by this point. Like, you're living it as part of life now. You can't live in fear all the time. It would be like the government saying, hey, you can't go outside unless it's exactly 72 degrees. And you're like, oh, well, that's about 14 days a year. And they're like, well, here's the thing. You can't go outside unless it's 72 degrees and there are no clouds in the sky. You're like, well, that narrows it down to about 3 days a year. And they're like, yeah, but you know, if you go outside at any other time, then you hate old people.
That's right. And
you want them to die. Is that what you want? Because I had a friend one time that they had a friend that I heard about that he died from a meteor hitting, and I think you get the point. Hey, Steve, you busy?
Yeah.
Well, would you mind holding this grudge for me? It's heavy and it's dirty, and I've been holding it for too long.
What is it?
It's a grudge.
All right, I'll put it with the other ones.
I mean, I got a bunch more in there.
I got room for like 2 grudges.
This is only part of the grudge.
I've got 4 in my trailer,
This
okay?
is only part of the grudge I'm holding against one person. It's a little dirty. But I've got a bunch of grudges that I hold against other people. So I carry them around with me everywhere.
Yeah, me too. I got a whole trailer full.
You got a trailer full of grudges?
Yeah, I'll put your grudge in there, but I ain't got room for a whole lot
No,
more
I don't
grudges.
want you to, here, I'll keep carrying it. It's fine.
All right, well, I'm going to go back to work then.
Okay, yeah. So tell us what you're doing. Here, I'm gonna put this down. I feel like...
I'm plumbing.
Oh, cool.
Take your grudge that way, or we're going to have more grudges.
Ooh, you're gonna have a grudge against me?
Exactly.
You can have this grudge.
Okay, I'll take this grudge. Go fill up another one. I don't know what you can do with that.
So Steve is an
still filming?
Yeah, he's an amazing plumber. What? He did all these gas lines.
I gotta go to work.
Which he doesn't want to advertise. He's busy working.
I'm good.
And
no record I was here.
all kinds of drain lines and PEX lines and everything. And he does great work, and I love him, and you should use him for everything, because if you don't, I'm sorry, you're gonna have bad stuff. Ooh, hey girl. So today, we are going to paint, among other things. We're gonna paint the outside. This has been yellow for so long. Kim Hatfield is like, your house is ugly because it's yellow. Paint it a color. I'm like, hun,
it's going to happen. Chill. So today we're going to paint, and this is what we've been waiting for. Okay. It's been freezing cold. The wind's been blowing and it's been raining. You can't have that stuff. You got to be at least 40 degrees. The sun has to be shining. You don't need too much wind because otherwise you get overspray everywhere. The planets have aligned. It's one of the days that we can paint. We're going to paint. We're going to get on it. So we're super excited about that. Now, a lot of you, I think, have a misunderstanding in life, and that is that procrastination and making excuses, you think that's part of a success story. It's not. You never hear a success story where they're like, yeah, so I just like put it off. And then what? Oh, I was lazy. Cool. And then what? I sat on the couch a lot. I'm like, okay. I had a lot of personal alone time. I'm like, okay. I had a lot of addictions. I fed the addictions all the time. I'm like, I don't feel like this is part of a success story.
Right.
I think part of a success story is that you like suck it up. You keep on working. Because it doesn't matter how you start the race, it matters how you finish the race. So we're going to finish this race by getting started. That doesn't make sense. What? You guys again? How exciting. I love when you come visit. All right, so right now we started painting. You guys probably remember that I said we're going to paint because it's really still out there. And then the wind started like a tornado. I don't know. It's ridiculous. But the roofers are still up there. Now, they were up on the high stuff, and they were like, we're done with the high stuff today. And they went to do some low stuff that you could jump off of and do backflips and cartwheels and stuff, and they're fine. But they're very brave. Not like me. I'm pretty much a coward. So anyway, we did do some painting. We got from around the garage all the way, and then the back part of this, the low part. So that's something. It's not as much as I wanted to get done. But we're probably going to have to pick that up again on Monday because it's going to be windy again tomorrow. So yesterday, I didn't really show you guys too much because we were busy all day. I had a water pump break and then some other things. And Steve Lux came out and we did a lot of plumbing. And he just knows so much about plumbing. And I highly recommend him for anything you need done because I'm more of a hack and he's more of a like professional, which is good. I appreciate it. So I want to show you guys one quick thing, and it's called nail plates. And probably if you're smart, you already know what they are. But let's imagine this. Let's imagine that you're a drywall person or a cabinet installer or just a person wanting to hang a picture. And you're like, la-di-da, bang, 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 bang. Ptss. Next thing you know, you've gone through a water line, a drain line, a power line, you arced something, you started a fire, whatever. So how do you stop that? How do you tell people, hey, don't go in any of these places that have wires or pipes? It's impossible. You put a nail plate. And then if somebody tries to screw in that, you can't. If you try to nail in it, it'll bend your nail. If you're like, why won't this thing go in? Because there's a nail plate, that's why. And so right there's a water line that goes to the hose out here, and then you can't hit it in any of those places where there's a stud. Really magnificent. Now, the rest of you guys, I want you to just stop listening, just pause this video, move on to the next thing, start looking at cats or whatever it is that you do. But the Christians, I want you to listen to this, okay, because this is important. We are called ambassadors for Christ. That is one of the titles that Christians are given. And I think that we forget that a lot. And so my grandfather was a foreign ambassador to all over the world from America. And he went to all different countries. And when he was there, he represented America. He was the picture of America that these people saw. And then he had authority to negotiate on behalf of America to this country. And when they had something to say to America, they said it to him and he brought it back to the country, okay? The Bible says that we as Christians are ambassadors for Christ. Now think about this. You are the only Jesus that some people will ever see.
What?
I know, because they're probably not going to go to church. And they're probably not going to go out on their own and read their own Bible. And so they're going to look at your life and say, that person is a Christian, and I don't like the things that they do. And because they act this way, I don't want to be a Christian, because if that's what it's about, I don't want it. And their eternal destiny will be partly based on your testimony and the way that you live your life. Or they may look at your life and go, I want to be like that. What they've got is real. And their eternal destiny might hinge and pivot on how you live your life in your own testimony. So think about that, because when you're living your day-to-day life, that's when you're judged. When you're like, oh, here, these are my highlights and this is my Instagram filter, that's not real, okay? When you're living your day-to-day life, when things get hard, people pay attention and they perk up and they go, I wonder what's going on here. How are they going to deal with this? Because if we're no different than they are, then what in the world do we have to offer? In all honesty, what in the world do we have to offer? So think about that. I remember I had a guy that I worked with at Applebee's when I was 16. I had just got saved, okay? I was a dishwasher. I was making $5 an hour. I worked double shifts all the time. I was trying to save enough money to build my first house, which I did when I was 17, and paid cash for. But I worked with this guy. He was a cook, and he hated me, and I knew he hated me. He didn't just tell me, though. He showed me that he hated me, and let me tell you how. Because sometimes actions speak louder than words. He would throw tomatoes at me.
That's one way.
He also threw steak knives at me.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty obvious.
He also, I'd worked a double and went to clean the bathrooms and came back in the kitchen, hosed me down with scalding hot water.
What an ass.
He also poured bleach all over my feet to the point where all my skin came off the top of my feet. And after all this, he said, do you know why I do this stuff to you? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, it's because you're a Christian and I hate you. He said, I used to be a Christian. Then I started doing drugs. I got with this girl, got her pregnant, had an abortion. I fell and you're going to fall too. I can't wait. I was like, well, that's very sweet of you. Some time passed. I walked into the kitchen. As I walked into the kitchen, I overheard some people talking bad about me. And I heard the same guy that did all these things to me stick up for me. And he said, don't say anything bad about John. As I opened the door, right? So I'd heard just enough to go, they're not saying nice things. And then I heard him stick up for me. I pretended like I didn't hear anything. And I went back to work. And he found me later and he said, do you know why I stood up for you? I'm like, no, I don't. And he goes, it's because you're a Christian and you're the first person I know that actually believes what you say. And you live your life in such a way that I want to be like you. I said, I'll stand up for you forever. I was like, that's a testimony. Now, I'm not bragging on myself here. What I'm saying is that's an example of people are watching, okay? Here's what I've noticed. Everybody wants the Christian to fall, okay? Hear me out on this. It sounds bad, but it's true. Everybody's watching. When something bad happens, they're like, and then what? Is he going to do a dumb thing? Is he going to sin? Is he going to be in a scandal? Is he going to lose his temper? I can't wait. Because if we fall, that makes them say, see, they're no better than us and I don't have to do anything. It's a waste of my time anyway, right? But I think deeper than that, what they really, really, really want is for us to succeed. Because if we succeed, then what we've got is real. And then they say, wow, that guy did amazing things. I respect him and I want to know more about what he believes. So think about that. Once again, not for non-Christians. You guys should have stopped listening like 4 minutes ago. But for Christians, you are an ambassador for Christ. Live like it. I don't care how the rest of the world lives. You're better than that. Do a better job.